Greetings pirates, and welcome to Zormis' Beginner's Guide number 3. To further along your pirate legend journey, we will discuss the dangers of the sea. We will cover the fog, storms, Megalodons, skeleton ships, the Kraken, and other players. You may have already come across these dangers already, so I will give tips on how to survive the encounter. The fog will usually spawn on the edges of the map. When you're in the thick of it, it makes seeing difficult. This is when experience can really matter on knowing the map, and you will be more aware of the dangers of the sea. If you have crew members, having one keep an eye on the map and another in the crow's nest will be your best bet at navigating out of this without a scratch. Storms are very dangerous. You have to worry about lightning strikes, holes on your ship, visibility, and steering becomes extremely difficult. Lightning strikes are probably the least of your worries, but a strike can pop your gunpowder barrels in your crow's nest, so watch out for that. The deeper you are in the storm, the harder it is to control the helm. Pay attention which way the wheel is trying to turn and tap it the other way to try to stay in the center. Since you do not have a compass, having crew members checking the map telling you your heading would be the best practice at getting out of the storm. Another danger is holes in your ship. When the waves get rough, your ship gets thrown around and starts to create holes. I have spent 45 minutes in a storm once, and we went through over 100 planks of wood. My advice is simply avoid the storms and sail around it. The only time I am in a storm is if I'm on an island already, which this is one of the few cases I actually dropped the anchor. There are 5 different Megalodons. Their loot table, I believe, are the same, but some are just rarer than others for accommodation reasons. You can tell when the Megalodon will spawn because you hear a rumble in the sea. Then they will launch themselves out of the water, usually behind your ship, and give chase. If you have the wind on your back, you can usually outrun them. If you're having issues with getting away from them, sail close to an island and they will back off. If you choose to fight it, it's usually best to drop anchor before you get too close to an island, making it despawn. When your ship is stationary, the Megalodon will circle your ship, giving you opportunities to fire on it. Some players like to rotate their ship and fire on it. As for myself, I like to keep my ship stationary. I will fire cannons when she is on the port and starboard side of the ship, and then I will fire on her with a sniper rifle when she is at forward or aft of the ship. Periodically, she will come in for a bite. If your crew is fast on the cannons, you can fire into her mouth, forcing her to retreat. You know when she is coming in for a bite because the music will change to a fast-paced Jaws-like thing. If you're not on cannons or can't get a shot, you should instantly run below deck. This will save you from taking damage or getting thrown off your ship. When she bites, she will put up to 4 holes in your ship. Patch it and bucket out the water. If you're on a galleon, ignore the top holes until the encounter is finished. Once she is down, treasure will float to the surface. Be aware sharks usually hang out where the Megalodon has been. Speaking of sharks, when they bite, they hit you for 50% of your max health. This means 2 bites will kill you. If you get bit swimming back to your ship, eat a banana. It will help you survive another hit. Skeleton ships roam the seas. You can usually avoid them, but sometimes they will spawn on you. You will hear a trumpet sound and they will rise out of the water. Skeleton ships fire cursed cannonballs. Which one they fire is the theme they will stick with. You may have to adjust your tactics depending on the curse. Fleeing skeleton ships is a bit harder, as they will follow you to an island. At some point they will tether, but in most cases, if you need to be in the area, you're going to have to fight them. I have 3 different strategies I use to take them down. One thing to note is that skeleton ships will repair holes, but they will not bucket out water. The first method of taking one down is the most common one, just killing them with cannonballs. Make sure aim at the water level so they fill with water. Once the water hits their second deck, then you can hit them anywhere. The most effective way to save on cannonballs is to have a crew member board their ship and protect any holes you make. The second tactic is ramming. You can actually take down skeleton ships without firing a single cannonball. If you have plenty of planks but low on cannonballs, this is the strategy for you. This strategy does take an experienced captain. When you ram the ship, make sure you have sails right to match speed and stay with them. Your crew can use the water on their ship to bail it onto theirs, helping them sink faster. Trying to keep one hole on your ship unpatched so that you can keep bucketing water. As stated before, you can also put a crew member on their ship to protect the holes you made. The third tactic is my favorite, jumping on board with a gunpowder barrel, setting it off and protecting the holes I just made. This is probably the fastest and least resource you will use tactic. My crew usually does a combination of all three tactics, but we always try to barrel them first to save on cannonballs. I like to barrel the bottom and run up front. Then I stay around and try to protect the holes as long as I can. The Kraken. This monstrosity can either be your greatest ally or your greatest enemy, as it has saved me from spawning on enemy ships. When the Kraken spawns, you will get ominous music, the seas will turn black with ink, your ship will slow to a crawl. You have two decisions here, stay and fight or try to survive by sailing to the closest area that doesn't have ink. Be aware, the seas are poisoned, and putting your head underwater will cause you to take damage. The first thing you want to do is make sure your pockets are full of supplies and your gun is fully loaded. If you have a crew, make sure one is always on repair duty and back them up as needed. The Kraken has three different methods of attack. The first is smacking the side of your ship, causing your ship to turn and putting holes in your ship. If you are running from the Kraken, make sure you turn your helm to put you back on course. Repair and bail ASAP. If you have 3 to 4 crew members, try to keep one on cannons to keep the pressure on the Kraken. The second is pulling you off your ship by sucking. You will see dust clouds form. Stay away from the clouds. If your crew member does get sucked, you need to fire on the tentacle with cannons if it in cannon range, or gunfire to help free them. If you are the one sucked up, you can sword swipe the mouth when it closes on you. Failing to free your crew member will cause them to eventually die from being drowned or poisoned. The third attack is the Tentacle Wrap. When your ship is wrapped, you cannot move, and your ship will take damage as she tries to pull you under. Don't worry about attacking the tentacle wrapping you, as it will just splash poison blood on you. What you need to do is attack the head that will pop up on the side of your ship. Fire on it with a cannon and it will drop below water. It will then pop back up on either side of the ship. Essentially, you're playing a game of whack-a-mole. After a few hits on the head, the tentacle will unwrap the ship. During this attack, there's 2 things you need to do: repair and kill the head. You only need 1 person to fire on the head. The rest should focus on repairs. Another thing to note is that if you fail to fire on the head, it will eventually lay itself on the deck, causing your ship to sink faster. In this case, keep firing on the head with your guns until you are unwrapped. Between the attacks, fire on the random tentacles that are in cannon range, especially the ones sucking. After a couple of hits, they will die and leave treasure behind. Since the encounter usually lasts a while, chances are the treasure from the first couple of tentacles will sink before she is dead, unless you go out and collect them. One thing to note, other than keeping your ship above water, your main goal should be shooting anybody free who is sucked up by a tentacle. Having less crew members will greatly reduce your chances of surviving the attack. When you succeed, the encounter will end and the waters will clear up again, freeing you up to collect your hard-earned treasure. PvP. It's part of the game. It is a pirate game. You will get attacked and you will get sunk. It's inevitable. It happens to even the most skilled of us on the seas. I will only go over running and surviving for now. Until you get comfortable surviving the seas, you should turn and loot often. Always be aware of your surroundings. And if a ship is near, always have a plan of escape. This means keeping your ship pointed in the right direction that you can drop sails and run. If you're on an island, always do a horizon check time to time. It's best to never be anchored. If your sails are up, your ship won't move. If a ship is coming in on you, you want to be able to drop sails and run. Raising anchor takes up valuable time, even on a sloop. When you are being chased, this is when it's key to know how to sail your ship. What the strengths are. For example, if you're on a sloop, you are the fastest against the wind. So if you're being chased by a bigger ship, sail into the wind. On a sloop, you can also maneuver better around obstacles compared to other ships. If you're on a big ship such as a galleon, sail with the wind and keep those sails full. Now right here, I was going to show you how to run from a galleon, but they gave up the chase, and it's really not my nature to run from a fight. If you are being chased and they are behind you, you can try to get a crew member to jump off your ship, board theirs, and drop their anchor to give you more time to get away. Some people will get bored the chase and leave you alone, but some are more persistent, especially if they know you have valuable loot on your ship. Alternatively, you could do drive-by turn-ins if you have loot. This is when you drive by an outpost and have a crew member jump off with valuable loot and have them turn it in at the outpost. Just be aware, experienced enemies will probably fire over someone with a cannon to try to keep you from sailing. It's best to only do this if you have a large lead on them. Your pursuer's first main goal is going to be stopping you. They will either try to hit you with an anchor ball, it's a cursed cannonball that drops your anchor, or they will try to board you. Watch for players cannoning or sword lunging in front of your ship. Sometimes you can hear their mermaid pop up right next to you. Always watch ladders when you know they have the opportunity to board you. If they do get a lever grab, shoot them off. They can usually still board if you're just swinging a sword. If one does manage to get on your ship and drops your anchor, everyone's priority is to kill that enemy, then get the anchor up ASAP. If you all die and you feel you can afford the time, try to come back in together. It's harder to attack a full crew than it is to attack one at a time. When you do get bested, try not to get over emotional about it, especially if the PvPers were not being toxic. Just remember, it's part of the game. Think back on what happened and what you should have done different. Learn from your mistakes. When I first played, I would freak out if I saw ships in the area, but after getting chased a few times, I knew I had the advantage and I never worried again. If you know what you're doing, it's almost impossible for someone to catch you, as you have the advantage, unless a Kraken spawns on you, of course, which has happened to me. Well, that's all for now. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comments down below. In my next video, I plan on giving out tips on how to raise reputation in the 3 alliances and how they work. Goodbye and good luck in your adventures. Bye for now.